Hey guys, welcome back for another week as we continue on in the life of Jesus through the Gospel of John. Today we're picking it back up in chapter 8. Let's get it started. This is the Bible Vlog. Religious leaders are back at it again and trying to trap Jesus. Now here's the issue. It's one thing to disagree with someone on their teachings, but these guys are so far past that with Jesus that they are now willing to risk the lives of other people just to try and trick him. So Jesus is teaching in the temple again when the scribes and the Pharisees barge in and they bring before him a woman who's been caught in the act of adultery. Now this is a famous story in the Bible, but one that carries so much weight because it really shows the heart of God towards all of us. So look at what happens in verses 4 through 9. They said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what do you say?" This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped and wrote on the ground with his finger as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, "He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first." And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest, even to the last, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing in his midst. Man, this is so powerful. Jesus' response was perfect because he didn't deny that the woman was guilty or even that she deserved to be stoned, but instead shows grace and love for her. Notice that Jesus doesn't stop them. He doesn't suddenly shield the woman with his body or anything like that. In fact, he gives instruction for the first stone to be thrown, but no one can do it because they're all guilty of the same thing: sin. Listen, are some sins worse than others? Sure. Murdering someone is worse than saying you're having a good day when you're not. But to God, sin is sin. The end result of all of it is separation from him, but we are all guilty of it. Jesus beautifully illustrates this by showing them that they are no different than this woman. Now finally, look at how Jesus addresses the woman herself in verses 10 through 11. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." The Bible says that Jesus was full of grace and truth, and this is the perfect example. I don't condemn you, but go and sin no more. Grace and truth. You have to have both to walk like Christ did. Now, Jesus continues teaching, and as he continues, many of the Jews listening start to actually believe in him. So look at what Jesus tells them in verses 31 through 32, another famous passage here. "Then Jesus said to those Jews who believed in him, 'If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.'" The truth is what sets people free. Not grace, but truth. Now, while truth is what has the power to set people free, it has to be wrapped in grace in order to be received. See, truth by itself only becomes legalism and a bunch of do's and don'ts, whereas grace by itself just has an attitude of, well, anything goes, and it allows people to fall into deception. You have to have both. Okay, one last passage to look at here. Now, as Jesus continues on, more and more people are listening to him and believing in him, and the religious leaders are about to lose their collective mind. Now, Jesus has one final thing to say to them that's going to push them over the edge. So look at this final exchange in the chapter in verses 53 through 59. The religious leaders said to Jesus, "Are you greater than our father Abraham, who is dead, and the prophets are dead? Who do you make yourself out to be?" Jesus answered, "If I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father who honors me, of whom you say that he is your God. Yet you have not known him, but I know him. And if I say I do not know him, I shall be a liar like you. But I know him and keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad." Then the Jews said to him, "You are not 50 years old, and you have seen Abraham?" Jesus said to them, "Most assuredly I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." Then they took up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. Now Jesus and the religious leaders know exactly what he meant when he said this. It was a claim of divinity. To claim the name of I am over yourself is the claim to be God incarnate. This, along with several other passages, are how we know that Jesus claimed to be God. And to further back this up, look at the religious leaders' response. They picked up rocks to stone him. Now this wasn't just out of anger, but stoning was supposed to be the punishment for blasphemy. Jesus was God incarnate. He literally existed before Abraham and put on flesh and bone to come to earth. Anyone who ever says that Jesus never claimed this, just show him this verse. All right, everybody. Well, that's another one down and a lot still to go. Well, thank you as always for being here on this beautiful Monday. Hope you're having an amazing day wherever you find yourself watching this from. Come back tomorrow for chapter 9. Until then, you all be good. I'll see you back here tomorrow.